cat. What are you eating?
Okay, guys, I know what it looks like. It looks like I have a piece of peanut brittle in my hand and a plate in front of me, but I swear that it's low carb, and I'm gonna show you guys how to make it right now. So, low carb peanut brittle, super simple. Whatever you have in your mind about making candy and brittle that you've done in the past with the full carb way, put that out of your mind. This way is so super simple, and there's only a couple of ingredients, but I left them in their containers because I wanted to show you guys exactly what I use, because I think that's what makes the perfect low carb peanut brittle. Most importantly, we have our peanuts. Now these are from Wegmans. These are unsalted, but they are dry roasted. And I think that's really important. I want to be able to control the salt that's in my brittle. I don't want these to be too salty because they're supposed to be like a little sweet treat. So I want to control the salt. That's why they're unsalted. Speaking of salt, I'm going to be using Himalayan sea salt. Now I'm going to crack a little bit of this in my, my container on at the very end before we put it in the fridge, but I will show you that when we get there. But I love to use Himalayan sea salt. It's pink. You're not going to see that it's pink, but any coarse salt will do for this. Also, got to make this sweet. We need our Truvia, my favorite. Now, Truvia is going to be a lot sweeter than sugar, so we're going to not be using that much. So I'll show you the exact measurements when we get over to the stove. But we also need my unsalted butter. You guys know I love salted butter. In this recipe, like I said, I'm going to be controlling the salt myself, so I'm going to use unsalted. We need 1 stick. So we are going to need some cooking spray to spray our pan, and then lastly, you're going to need some pure vanilla extract. So to get started, you want to take an 8x8 pan, piece of parchment paper in here, spray this liberally with your cooking spray. Done. Set this aside. We're going to need that after the butter and sugar are done cooking. In a saucepan. This is going to be the size saucepan that I use. You want a small saucepan. This isn't a time to use, a big boat on the stove. You want something small. Otherwise, your sugar and your butter are going to cook too quickly, and that will cause burning. So even though I said this isn't like a very technical recipe, it is one where you have to just watch your stove and just be wary of what you're doing. So we're going to head over to the stove, and I'm going to get my Truvia and my butter going, but meet me over there and I'll show you exactly what to do. All right, so what I want to do now is melt the butter on its own over low heat. This could take about 5 minutes for, room temperature butter. It could take a little bit longer for butter that you're taking right out of the fridge. Either way, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that you put your butter in a small saucepan and just get it melting. Just be patient with this too, because you don't want your pan to get too hot. So don't crank this up to high just to melt the butter. Keep it at medium, low, just until your stick of butter melts, and then I'll show you what to do next. All right, so my butter has all melted, as you can see. So I'm going to turn my heat up to about medium, and we're going to add in the sugar. Now for Truvia today, we're using 3 tablespoons and 1 teaspoon. This is the perfect amount of sweetness. It's not overly sweet either. That's what Jay said, because he's not a very sweets person, and that was the first thing that he said. He's like, wow, this isn't that sweet. It's not overly sweet. It doesn't make your mouth hurt. I don't know if you know what I mean, but it's not sweet like that. So 3 tablespoons, 1 teaspoon, and now you want to get to whisking this. This is kind of one of those things where you cannot leave the stove. Luckily, it's only for less than 10 minutes because you're going to have to continually whisk this until you're done. So what you want to do now, have it on medium heat, and I'll show you when it gets there. It won't take that long. It's going to start bubbling. Like you're going to see, it's going to be like bubbling up sugar. So when it gets to that point, I'm going to turn the heat down to medium low and keep it there for the rest of the time. And then I will start my timer at that point. What you have to remember is this is going to, after about 5 minutes, it will smoke up a little bit, and it will also smell a little weird. I don't know if it's just because I'm using Truvia or what, but that's totally normal. And I'll show you guys along the whole way what I'm talking about, just so when you're making it, you're not like, am I doing this right? You are. So what I'm going to do is continue to whisk this just until it starts bubbling up. I'll show you what that looks like, and then we'll go on to the next couple steps. So this is what we're looking for. It's going to start around the edges first and start bubbling up, and then it's going to start bubbling up all throughout. This is exactly what you want to see. And I'll just stop whisking for a second so you can see. As soon as it gets to this point where it's starting to kind of come into the middle and start all bubbling up together, you want to turn your heat back down to about medium low. Set your timer. I'm going to start at 8 minutes. That was the most perfect time for me the last time that I made this. I've done it longer. And now, really quick, what you're going to do, whisk. Continually whisk this. You don't want to, you can stop if you want to, but you run the risk of burning the sugar. So what I'm going to do is just continue to whisk this just like this as I'm talking to you. My timer set for 8 minutes. That to me is the perfect time. I did it for 10 minutes and also 12 minutes in different batches, and I feel like it got a little bit too dark and the flavor was a little bit, I don't want to say bitter, but it wasn't as buttery and golden, and the color does change. So I'm going to do 8 minutes whisking the whole time. And when I was talking about smoking, that happens around 5 minutes in. So once I get to that point, I'll show you guys what it looks like. But until then, for the next, I don't know, 2 or 3 more minutes before I get to the 5-minute mark, I'm going to just continually whisk this. Okay, if you guys can see, it just started smoking up a little bit. Totally normal, like I said. And if you want to come in and take a look, it's nice and bubbly. This is the exact temperature that is perfect for my stove. You might have to play around with yours a little bit till you get it to kind of be bubbling up like this. As soon as I stop whisking, you can see all the bubbles start forming. So you want to keep going. But mine's on medium-low heat. Play around with yours. You might even have to play around with it as you go if your stove is finicky. But I feel like mine's pretty good. So if I keep it at medium-low, see, you can see the steam coming up. This is the perfect temperature for me. So I'm going to continue to whisk for another, let's see, I got 3 minutes and 10 seconds to go until my 8 minutes is up, and I'll show you guys what it looks like at 8-minute mark. So real quick, I just wanted to show you guys, we're at the, let's see, 6-minute mark, and now is when the color really starts to drastically change to that caramel color that I'm looking for. So this is a time when you really want to continue to whisk. We've got 2 minutes to go, a little bit less, and it's just going to continue to get a little bit darker the longer that we go. At this point, if you think that it's cooking a little bit too fast, lower your heat. You kind of have to just play this by ear as you're going, but mine's still pretty good. It's still bubbling up nicely, so I'm just going to keep going. It's going to be turning a little bit darker, but that's fine. That's what you want. 3, 2, and 1. I'm going to turn my heat off and just kind of move this off of that hot area really quick. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my vanilla. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of this. This is going to bubble up, so don't get scared. This is normal too. 1 teaspoon goes right in. Grabbing my whisk really quick. I just want to get this all incorporated. And just kind of whisk this until those bubbles kind of go down a little bit. Ooh, the vanilla smells good. Okay. So now, there we go. See, just takes a couple seconds, maybe 10 or 15 seconds. And then you want to take a cup of peanuts. We're going to drop them right in. And then I'm going to switch to a spatula and just get everything incorporated. And then we're going to meet you back at the island and I'll show you how to put this into your 8x8 pan. All right, so while this is still hot, I am going to go ahead and just plop it right into my pan. Pour it right in, and I'll show you guys a couple tricks with doing this too, because it is low carb, so it's a little bit different than how you would do, regular full carb peanut brittle. Get all of that goodness out of the pan. Then, using your spatula, you want to kind of move this into a thin, even layer. Okay, so we're flat and in a nice even layer right now. This is perfect. The last thing I want to do is take my sea salt or any coarse salt that you like, and I'm going to do a few grinds right on top. This is kind of like that salty sweet element, it just pairs perfectly with this brittle. Oh, it's so good. Okay, perfect. So now what I'm going to do is let this sit at room temperature. This has to cool off. It's very hot right now. So we're going to let this sit at room temperature for, I would say, about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. Just feel the bottom of your pan. If it still feels hot to touch like it does right now, it's not ready yet. So I would just let it sit on your countertop just for about half an hour, 45 minutes. Then you can pop it into the fridge for 4 hours, or I like to do overnight. I think that's the best. And you guys are lucky. You don't have to wait that long. I actually made a batch of peanut brittle earlier that I may or may not have been snacking on before that I'll show you guys, what it actually looks like on the plate, and I'll give you guys a taste, and I'll taste it, and you guys can see what it looks like. But in the meantime, this is gonna sit out for now, and I'm gonna go grab the one I made earlier. All right, guys, my cute little Santa plate is full of my brittle, and as you can see, I left it in bigger pieces because you can just like this, snap it. And I wanted to kind of show you what it looked like too on the bottom, because I feel like this really reminds me of actual peanut brittle. Look at that. And it stays together really well, beautifully, if you want to add it to a gift basket or you want to have some just chilling on the counter for your guests, it's just phenomenal. So this is one of my favorite things lately. It's buttery and sweet. Not overly sweet. The peanuts give it a nice little protein kick too. So it actually is one of those snacks that you don't really have to feel guilty about because it fills you up because of the protein. The carb amounts on this are so small, you literally do not have to feel guilty about eating this. It's so good. I'm glad that I'm gonna have another batch in the fridge waiting for me. Is that bad? Oh, speaking of, keep this in the fridge. Because of, the butter and the sugar and everything, you're going to want to keep it in the fridge, otherwise it'll get soft. So to keep it nice and hard like that, keep it in the fridge until you're ready to eat it. It'll be perfect. So click on the link below. It'll take you to my blog where you'll find this recipe as well as many other low-carb recipes for you guys to make and enjoy. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know somebody requested a peanut brittle recipe, so here you go. Here it is for you. If there's anything else that you guys want me to post or, recipe test or anything, please leave it in the comments below. I'm always open for suggestions. And I hope you guys come back, and I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and give me a thumbs up if you did. But I will see you guys next time. We're cooking all different kinds of low-carb food. So happy holidays. Glad you guys are here with me, but I'll see you guys next time.